The 2000s was another incredible decade for gaming. Games went from looking like this to looking like this. This was the fourth decade of gaming. It gave us the PS2 and Xbox 360, two of the most popular gaming consoles of all time. It also gave us the Wii, Nintendo DS and PSP, which are really cool consoles, as they were all a little bit different than the normal console. And that phrase describes gaming in the 2000s perfectly. Everything was a little bit different. Every game and console tried to have its own unique feature, whether it was the Xbox Kinect or the motion controllers. There was always something new to be curious about, which is a complete contrast to the formulaic game and console developments of the 2010s. By that decade, there was processes and trends to follow. Games became very much sale driven, and the only real form of innovation was the graphics. But the 2000s was very much experimental. There was lots of new games released every year, and some of them were very strange and unique. But that's why the 2000s was probably my favourite era of gaming. Granted, it could also be nostalgia, as I really fell in love with games in around 2006, as you'll soon find out. But let's take a look back at the games released over this decade. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 was one of the first skating games I ever played. The game was pretty simple. You skate while listening to punk music. This game was top-selling PlayStation title for 2 consecutive weeks in the UK, and this success would give us Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, another classic. This year was the beginning of the famous GTA series. GTA 3 follows Claude through the streets of Liberty City after his girlfriend betrays him in a bank robbery. The story sees Claude work his way through the criminal underworld with the goal of getting revenge on his girlfriend. GTA was an open world action adventure game where you could walk, run, shoot or drive through the streets of a New York-like city. This game was revolutionary. It would set the industry standard for an open world game, and it would be the beginning of Rockstar's many incredible games. In fact, they would outdo themselves just 1 year later. Grand Theft Auto Vice City was heavily inspired from Miami Vice and Scarface. Vice City follows Tommy Vercetti through the streets of a Miami-like city. After a deal goes horribly wrong, Tommy embarks on his journey across the city to reclaim what is rightfully his and ends up becoming the Kingpin. This game improved and expanded on the concept that was originally found in GTA 3. I have talked about this game previously before in the channel, but my god, this game gives me goosebumps every time I play it. It's basically GTA, but you're Homer Simpson. Sitting in my bedroom, late at night, driving around as Homer running over NPCs was the peak of my childhood. This is one of the few games based off a TV show / movie that is genuinely good. All the Easter eggs, references, voice acting and dialogue really make you feel like you're in the middle of Springfield. But it is just a shame that we never got a remaster.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Name a more iconic introduction. 2004 was the year of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, yet another incredible game from Rockstar. This game took the PS2 and pushed it to its limits. I remember sitting and playing San Andreas in a friend's house before school and being completely blown away about how crazy this game was. I actually plan on making a full review of this game shortly, so feel free to subscribe. Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories was basically a DLC for GTA 3, but it was released for the PSP. The story follows one of the side characters, Tony Cipriani, through Liberty City. For me, having a portable Grand Theft Auto was incredible. I could play it in the car, I could hide it under my pillow and play it late at night. But despite the game being amazing, Liberty City Stories kind of had some performance issues, which were probably expected due to the console's limitations. But despite the performance issues, Rockstar would eventually iron out the imperfections with the release of Vice City Stories the following year. 2006 was probably my favourite year for gaming. I have so many favourites from this year, but let's start with Wii Sports. Wii Sports is a simple game designed to show off the capability of the Wii, but despite being simple, it was incredibly fun. From bowling to boxing, you had an array of different sports to choose from. 2006 also saw Rockstar dominating yet again with the release of Vice City Stories and Bully. Vice City Stories was probably one of my favourite GTAs of all time, and I used to play it all the time on my PSP. But there is one more game from that year which I absolutely adore. Cars. Cars was a PS2 game that takes place after the events of the film. You play as Lightning McQueen as he participates in the new racing season with the end goal of winning the Piston Cup. I loved this game. Driving around Radiator Springs will forever be imprinted in my brain. Another incredible year for gaming. 2007 saw the release of Halo 3, one of the most popular Halo games. On top of that, you had Team Fortress 2 and Portal, two incredibly iconic games from Valve. And you had COD 4, the original trick-shooting, smack-talking COD that set the standard for a Call of Duty game. But despite all these incredible titles, One of my favourite games to play that year was Spiderman 3. While a few people didn't really like this game, there was something really appealing about swinging through New York as Spider-Man. I get that this game probably isn't necessarily a good game, but I can really appreciate that it was just fun. 2008 saw the release of Grand Theft Auto 4 on the new consoles, and yet again Rockstar took it to the max. This game looked and played amazing. It was a massive step up from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and in my opinion, no other games came close. The 2000s was honestly an incredible decade for Rockstar, so good that in my opinion this cemented Rockstar as the gold standard for gaming. But there was also another game released that year that I really liked, Little Big Planet. It was like a puzzle-based platform type game, and whilst the game was kinda niche, it was actually a lot of fun to play. 2009 saw the release of my favourite Call of Duty of all time, Modern Warfare 2. I loved everything from the story to the co-op, and once I eventually got access to the internet, I was able to play multiplayer, and this was an entirely new world for me. I was able to play with friends that lived nowhere near me, talk shit to strangers, and meet new people all in one game. This was the time I started watching YouTube videos as well, so I had endless amount of content to consume around this game. Modern Warfare 2 took the internet by storm, and I was sat right there in the front row. The 2000s saw the release of some really cool niche games and consoles. You could literally turn up to a game shop, pick out a second-hand game, and that game could literally end up being the best thing you have ever played. But if you want to see the difference between gaming in the 2000s and 2010s, click the video on screen now. Thanks for watching.